Okay, welcome everyone to our call tonight. We're really excited to be joining you for this brief but informative call all about thyroid health. I'm here with my husband, Thomas Hemingway. He is a physician. He's not your physician. That will be my disclaimer, though. He's a board certified physician and also trained in functional and integrative medicine. My name is Brooke Hemingway. I am a former nurse, former fitness professional, turned gut health enthusiast who loves to help people to feel better and live their best life. We're joined by a couple amazing women, Leslie and Amy, tonight, who are going to share their stories. And we just want to preface this whole call with a simple disclaimer that anything that we talk about is our own personal opinion. And if you want to find out more about this, this is based off of our research, our experience, our opinion, but you should always consult with a physician or your medical provider. I love talking about all things health. That's what Thomas loves to talk about. He has a top rated podcast on health called Unshakable Health and a book called Preventable. And he has been involved in helping people live a healthier, better life for a long time. Now, I'm curious, how many of you guys here, again, I know I asked this before I hit record, but put a 1 in the chat if you yourself struggle with a thyroid condition or you know someone close to you that struggles with a thyroid condition. Ellen says yes. We've got 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Lots and lots of you. Okay. Great. And what percentage of people nationwide, just in the United States, do you think approximately struggle with thyroid issues? If you want to give me a guess in the chat, we love to kind of light up that chat and have some interaction going. What percentage of people do you think struggle with this challenge? Dorinda says 60%, 10%, 60, 30, 45. Okay,
Well,
we've got some high yeses.
You want the official number, the official data? Do you want that? So the official data is between 5 and 10%, depending on what source you read. It's much more common in women than men to have thyroid conditions. Hypo or low thyroid is more common than hyperthyroid or an overactive thyroid, but it can affect as many as 1 in 8 women over their lifetime. So that's pretty darn common, I would say. And this, I would say, is a very conservative estimate. And the reason I say that is because if you go to your doctor and you say, hey, doc, could this be, maybe you have low energy, maybe you're just super tired, brain fog, not having the clarity of thought that you would like, maybe your hair is starting to fall out, maybe your skin is really dry, maybe you're constipated, and you say to your doctor, hey, could this be my thyroid? And I hope your doctor doesn't do the eye roll thing, because if they do, I would consider getting another doctor. But the answer is it could be your thyroid. Yes, it could be your thyroid. All those symptoms I just shared are fairly common with an underactive thyroid called hypothyroid. And these symptoms, many of us have experienced over our lifetime. Whether or not they were thyroid related doesn't matter so much as to understand that the thyroid is very much involved in every aspect of your health, but especially your metabolism. So I would say your thyroid, you could consider it like the CEO of your metabolism, the governor, the president, whatever word you want to use, but it is one of the main key players in metabolism. And so if your metabolism at all is interesting to you, I would tune in to this and share it with a friend, because we all care about metabolism. Let's face it, right? We want to be able to burn calories, have energy, have that zest and vitality. We want to feel great. And the thyroid is front and center. In fact, many people in this kind of integrative functional medicine space use this terminology they call the HPA axis. Maybe you've heard of that, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Well, I actually use the HPA-T axis. So I add into that the thyroid, because the thyroid is so important for the proper functioning of your entire body, all of the hormonal systems, everything is interconnected. And that's why in the last decade, I've got super specific on utilizing integrative medicine, because I feel like traditional medicine often gets left in the dust when it comes to digging deep to actually find the root cause of most illnesses. And so when I said the numbers officially for hypothyroid, yes, it's only about 5%, maybe as high as 10 in the most conservative estimates. However, if you go and ask your doctor, hey, could this be my thyroid? they'll probably say, well, let's check. And the problem is they often just do one test called a TSH, and that test is not enough. And when they use that test, they use a very, very broad range of what they consider normal. So if you just said, who in the US is hypothyroid, like I said, the studies may show only 5%, but that's because they use this broad margin of TSH, which is not even the best test in the first place. And I would say if you want to know the numbers of folks that have thyroid conditions, issues, or symptoms related to their thyroid, is probably way higher than the 5 to 10%, probably closer to more like 20%. So you guys all guessed really, really well out there. It's very, very common, is what I want you to remember at the end of the day. Is it's super common, and almost anybody can be affected by the thyroid in one way or another.
And the fact that it's the number 3 prescribed medication, in the country is just another indication that this is something that's off for a lot of people. So why is it that so many people struggle, and what would be a root cause of why so many people struggle, and why are we even talking about this?
Well, I did see a couple of folks in the chat mention Hashimoto's, and that by the numbers is the most common cause of hypothyroid here in the US, the most common. Interestingly, we don't totally understand all of the triggers, causes, etiology, if you will, of Hashimoto's. It's sort of a broad range. However, what I will say is that all of it is in what we call inflammation. So even the word itself, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, that's the whole term, thyroiditis, the itis, that means inflammation. And so the underlying cause of most thyroid conditions is actually inflammation. And the cool part about what we're going to talk about today, and what Brooke will share a little bit more about later, is with some specific supplements that help with decreasing inflammation, is one of the best ways to help enhance thyroid function, help improve. If you do have a low thyroid, this can help you, because all of these things we're about to talk about will decrease inflammation, which is literally the root cause of just about every thyroid disorder you can imagine. So why should you care? Well, number one, we share this. It's very, very common. Number two is the symptoms really suck, right? Like if you don't have energy and you can't get out of bed, or you can't, lose this weight you've been trying to lose, or you feel cold all the time, your hair is falling out. Like, do any of those sound cool? Like, let me see a 1 in the chat if you like those symptoms, right? Nobody. Those symptoms suck. But the cool thing is they're all treatable. They're all something that you can improve upon, and can improve upon them rather simply. And there's actually a cool new thing I wanted to share. And it was just about 2 or 3 years ago, I read this article that talked about what they call the thyroid gut axis. And it was kind of the first time I've ever seen this in print. And I thought it was really cool, because the thyroid and its functionality is very much connected with your gut and your gut health. And actually, most people don't understand and appreciate this. Most doctors don't even know this, but in your body, the active thyroid hormone is called T3, right? That's the active form. And what most people take across the world is T4, which is an inactive form. That's called Synthroid. If you've ever bought it at a pharmacy and they use the trade name, it's called Synthroid, right? And that's actually T4. So in order for your body to actually be able to use that, it has to be able to convert the T4 into the active form called T3. And interestingly enough, up to 30% of that conversion can happen at the level of your gut. And if your gut is healthy and your microbiota is thriving, you can actually have enhanced thyroid function thanks to your gut health. And the converse is also true. If your gut health is not awesome, well, your thyroid function can be significantly negatively affected. And so tune in right now, listen, get ready to write some things down. Brooke's going to share some specifics about how you can get your gut healthy, because there you can actually improve your thyroid function and your health, because 20 to 30% of all conversion of that inactive thyroid hormone called T4, which is what most people would even take if they had low thyroid, that needs to be converted into the active form called T3. And a big portion of this, up to 20 to 30% of it, can happen at the level of your gut. So super exciting stuff.
So it seems like then, if we're wanting to improve our thyroid function, which many of you listening in want to do that, a focus on improving your gut health, a focus on decreasing inflammation. And then also a piece that you didn't yet address was a focus on the insulin and blood sugars. How does that play into the function of the thyroid?
Tremendously. I mean, the short answer is the insulin and the thyroid hormones are probably the two most powerful hormones in your entire body. And when they are not working well, typically the inflammation that we talked about a moment ago, a lot of it can be caused by this condition called insulin resistance, which is typically like a precursor to type 2 diabetes, if you will. And that's largely rooted in inflammation, which usually stems from our diet and our movement choices or not enough movement, our sleep, our stress, and poor gut health. All of those things increase inflammation if we don't, get them right, if you will. And they work together. When we do them right, they all positively impact our gut health and also decrease our insulin resistance, both by improved dietary choices, increased movement throughout the day, better sleep, optimal stress, and of course, improved gut health. All of those things will also effectively decrease insulin resistance. So when those two are working together well, your thyroid will function much better. If you do have insulin resistance because of any of those things we talked about, whether it be dietary choices, not a lot of movement, not a lot of sleep, too much stress, or poor gut health, those things will also adversely affect your thyroid. So they go hand in hand, they work together. And as you optimize one, you optimize the other as well. And that's another perfect segue for Brooke to share about how some of these supplements she's about to mention will help with your blood sugar balance and your overall insulin sensitivity. And they will also help with thyroid health.
Yeah. So it's important to understand, and I love that you mentioned a lot of like lifestyle things, right? So at Plexus, we are very big on living and talking about wellness and talking about lifestyle and talking about how supplements are an integral part of what we need to support our body in our modern diet, in our modern lifestyle, in our modern farming practices and food practices, and how much things are processed. We tend to get enough calories, but we don't tend to get enough nutrients. And when our body is deficient in nutrients, all of the processes don't work the same way. Sometimes that also contributes to inflammation. Again, it contributes to imbalances in the gut because certain microbes in the gut like certain types of foods and certain, processes and hormones and things that are produced in the body need certain minerals and vitamins. And so if we're deficient, our body does not operate the same way. That's where supplements come in. And like he mentioned, of course, you can take all the supplements you want to take, but if you're only sleeping 4 hours a night, your body is still going to struggle. And so we always advocate for a healthy lifestyle. And when you add in supplementation, it makes a huge difference in the overall outcome. I'm a great example of that. And there are 2 women here tonight that are going to show that. I never personally had a thyroid diagnosis, but prior to taking supplementation with Plexus, I was exhausted. I would take a nap almost every single day. I lived off of Diet Coke. I had a huge sugar addiction. And by the way, sugar creates a lot of inflammation. I had trouble sleeping. I had headaches when I woke up. I had tons of anxiety. And I was always going in and out of postpartum depression. I have several children. And so I was really on the struggle bus. And yet I was a person that was doing a lot of the healthy things. I was exercising every day. I was a normal size. I was eating a lot of vegetables because we've always eaten a lot of vegetables and fruit in our house. We always have protein with our dinner. And so I was checking a lot of boxes. Can you guys relate to this? Like you're checking a lot of boxes and you're doing a lot of things right, but something was missing. And supplementation was that like missing link, that little key that just helped to turn on parts of my body that weren't operating functionally. And so I'm going to turn the time over now to Amy. Amy actually has struggled with thyroid issues in the past. She's seen a lot of turnaround there. And I invited her to share her experience tonight. So Amy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'm loving all this information. Even going through my thyroid journey, I haven't learned most of these things that Dr. Hemingway has shared. So this is fabulous. Hi, everybody. I started these natural supplements 2.5 years ago. I had not been feeling really great. Like Brooke, I can relate to you in you're doing the things, but you don't have the energy. And I felt like I wasn't showing up for my family. I needed to take a nap. I had a terrible diet soda addiction. sugar ruled my world. I actually I felt this emotional connection where I just had to eat something sweet after every meal. Just really an unhealthy relationship with that. And my husband actually is the one that found Plexus, and he has type 2 diabetes, and we understood that the blood sugar balance would help him. And so I decided to start using these products to support him and help him have a good outcome, not knowing that it was going to help me so much. So I noticed right off, I was sleeping better. I was able to say no to the sugar. I didn't know who I was. Why am I saying no to the sugar? I had more sustainable energy, and I just started to feel really good overall. And it is gradual because they are beautiful. They're natural, but we were in it for the long haul. We knew that we wanted to get him better and get him off his terrible medications for type 2. Well, what I didn't know is I had something in store, and I ended up coming down with an autoimmune condition called Graves' disease. And this was a few months into my Plexus journey. And I still, even though it was really shocking to get that news, like we were in Moab and we hiked to Delicate Arch. I don't know if you have been there before, but it's a beautiful hike, and we've done it before. And I just noticed my heart was racing. And after a lot of testing and wearing everything, like I had to wear a heart monitor for a few days, they found out, oh, you have Graves' disease. So I was on medications to suppress my immune system, keep my heart rate down, try to keep just things going as normal as they could in my body. But all the while I kept supplementing with my Plexus because I'd already known, hey, this is doing something for me and I'm feeling good. So I continued with my journey, and I honestly started feeling better and better and better. So when I met with my thyroid specialist, I was expecting him to say, it's a miracle, you're cured. He didn't. But he did say that there was improvement, right? And so I kept going, but he told me I needed to make my mind up. I needed to decide whether I was going to have my thyroid removed or if we were going to have it killed with radioactive iodine, or if I was going to continue on all the medications for the rest of my life. And I thought, that's a really heavy decision. I can't just make that sitting in your office. So a few weeks later, I decided to have my thyroid removed. I thought that would be the most natural course because then I'm only trying to bring back to my body like the thyroid, and I'm not suppressing my immune system, things like that. Met with the surgeon, set a date. He laughed because he realized I hadn't told my thyroid specialist I'd made this decision. I then saw my thyroid specialist that same day. They did some blood work and said the thyroid's not safe to operate on. And I didn't know this. It's not safe to do the surgery if you're not in a good range. So went home. Oh, I had to get a COVID test because that was a thing back then too. And I checked all the boxes, and I went to work the next day. And that afternoon, I got a call from my thyroid specialist office with my lab results. And they said, you're in normal range. We're canceling. Sorry, this chokes me up every time, but you're in normal range. We're canceling your surgery. So the balance that these natural supplements have created and the inflammation that has just been pretty much eliminated. Now, do we have it? Are we exposed and do our bodies fight with inflammation every day? Yes. But the way that these support you, and they're so wonderful, I'm just so thankful. I was able to get off of the immunosuppressant, the heart control. Like I got off of everything, and I have stayed in remission now for 2 years. 2 years. And I'm forever grateful for these natural supplements because I think it's true. Our bodies are designed to deal with so much if we give them the proper support. And these products do it beautifully. I use the triplex system. Some of you on the call might not know what that is yet, but you will. I use that, and I use Ease. And I also take our X Factor vitamin. I think that my body needed some help in methylating those nutrients. And I think I'm getting that powerful nutrition that I've so wanted for so many years. So that's my story.
Goosebumps, like just so amazed. And I love hearing these stories. And I love that you said like, hey, it's been a process. It's not like everything happens, all at once. And we always advocate for giving your body time. Whatever has happened in your body has taken a lot of time to build up and to become that way. And so there is a process of unbecoming and undoing that has to happen and peeling back the layers. But when you are putting in high quality and the right things that can help to do that, and you give it time and consistency, amazing things can happen. So thank you so much for sharing your story, Amy. I'm going to pass it on to Leslie now. Leslie, are you there?
And thank you, Amy. That was amazing. And I would say that most medical doctors would be blown away with that, because sadly, most are not very well versed in supplementation. And it's not their fault. They didn't get a lot of that training, but everything you said makes perfect sense to me. And all of the things you did were decreasing inflammation, which is at the root of both Graves and Hashimoto's. But wow, I hadn't heard that. And so I was also kind of blown away, because that, I mean,
I think he gasped.
Thank you.
I think I heard him gasp.
What you had was a very potentially life-threatening form of that thyroid condition called Graves, where they had to medicate you with all these things, so your heart rate didn't go up to 200 and 300, which it could have.
Right.
And most people struggle with the opposite end of that, where their thyroid gets low, and it's all part of the same autoimmune kind of inflammatory process. And wow, that was an incredible share, and it just it really speaks volumes to the power of natural supplementation and your lifestyle choices. And I mean, thank you.
Yeah,
it's my pleasure. It's honestly something I still pinch myself every day. So
it's amazing.
I'm so thankful.
So Leslie, I'm going to turn it over to you now to share your experience.
Wonderful. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I have an opposite. I have Hashimoto's. And it was back in 2018 that I started Plexus. My hair was thinning. I had out of control hormones. I was raging all the time, like She-Hulk. And for no reason. I mean, nobody was even in the room when it happened. So, you know, I'm trying to ask, you know, what is happening? Why all of a sudden, you know, am I a little bit chubbier than normal? You know, I'm addicted to candy. I can't stop eating candy. And my mom goes, "Have you had your thyroid checked?" Why would I have my thyroid checked? There's nothing wrong with me. Oh, by the way, my mom has a thyroid issue and is on medication. Her mom had her thyroid removed, and then her mom had a goiter. Okay, so when it says it runs in the family, it runs in my family. And I am not very much into wanting to take medications for any particular reason. So I went to a specialist, had my blood work taken. I knew before the doctor told me that I had Hashimoto's. I did my research and she agreed with me. And for that particular thing, I was on the verge of becoming hypothyroid, where my thyroid didn't make enough. And that's what my mom was diagnosed with. And I told her, I said, "Hey, I have Hashimoto's, so you do too." And she goes, "No, I don't." "Yes, you do. You can't have one without the other." So she ended up going to my specialist and found out she had Hashimoto's. And my biggest concern was that I had just recently got married and was thinking about planning a family. And with Hashimoto's, my big concern was you either can try and try and try and never get pregnant. You can try and miscarry, and then you can try, get pregnant, and then end up with some health concern on the back end because you didn't make enough for yourself and your unborn child. So that was a thought going through my head. And, you know, it was like, well, what do we do? How do we fix this? And my specialist had said, you know, well, you're right on the verge. Let's see how your blood work is in the next few months. And it didn't get any better. And so she's like, "I think we need to put you on medication." And my understanding was that when I was on the medication, I would never be able to get off of it. And I didn't want to do that. So I said, "Okay, let's try the medication." And nothing was improving. So we did some more blood work. And then a couple months down the road, it was, "Things are still not improving. Let's up your dose." Okay. I don't remember how, I think I went from 0.5 to say 1 milligram or what have you of the medication, and had the worst side effects I've ever had in my life on a medication before. It felt like my head was on fire. I was cold everywhere else, but my head was on fire, and I had the worst migraine in my life. And I went, the only thing that's changed is I started taking this medication. So I called up my specialist and said, I can't do this. I am feeling worse than I was before. I'm okay. I don't want to do this. And she said, okay. And so we waited, and we tested my blood 3 months, 6 months, a year down the line. I was currently on Plexus products, and she was amazed because my numbers weren't changing. She's like, well, that's kind of interesting. You got better, but now that you're not on the medication, they're not going back down. And I was like, okay. So, a year or so went by. She was like, I don't need to see you anymore. Your numbers are fine. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. So I haven't taken the medication since then. I then decided with my husband that I wanted to have a baby. And I made sure I had everything checked before I went and saw my specialist, had all the insides looked at, and was like, am I okay? And she said, you're within your your, right values. And she goes, give it a shot. She's like, it may not happen right away, but just know that you're within the levels that I need you to be in. You should be okay. I started trying in November of 21. I was pregnant by January of 22. So it did happen right away. I have a beautiful baby boy. And the entire time during my pregnancy, I took Plexus. I took all the vitamins. I mean, there wasn't anything that I couldn't take that didn't support me and my son. I was able to breastfeed for 15 months, and then finally said, okay, I'm good. I can't do this anymore. It's a lot of time. I love you, little kid. But that was my decision after stopping breastfeeding, because he was receiving the Plexus from me, that I wanted to start him on the kids products. So he takes a half a vitamin every day, and he takes the kids microbiome and loves it. Like when I say, hey, do you want a vitamin? I mean, he's excited. He drinks his juice, no problem. He'll be 2 in October. He'll start taking a full vitamin. I mean, the whole process is amazing. And I can't say that things wouldn't have happened had I not been taking Plexus. So, that's my story. And then my mom, not sure if she's on, but she went from 2 medications down to 1. So Plexus has helped her. She's had it a lot longer, and didn't have Plexus prior to, but the fact that she can stop taking 1 medication is amazing as well. So,
Oh,
I will take Plexus every day for the rest of my life.
That's so amazing. And I love that you said, like, hey, mom is still on a medication. I like to tell people, like, hey, it's not always going to fix everything or get you off of everything. However, there's a lot of people that are medicated that still feel like crap. And so it could be that you have to still take some things to support you, but could you be feeling better in your body no matter
100%.
what kind of condition you have? And so I so appreciate, Leslie, you sharing your story. What powerful stories and examples. And we have literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more of these. And tonight we wanted to focus on thyroid because it is something that affects so many people and somebody that you know. And so to wrap this up, I'm going to give you a Cliff Notes version of products that we recommend for thyroid health. Now, of course, everybody is individual, and you might want to add something else in as well. If I had my druthers, I'd probably pick a couple extra things in our line to give you. But at a base, I love what both Leslie and Amy mentioned. And one of the things that they mentioned is our triplex gut health system. It's our best-selling system. It's 3 products. It's our slim drink, either the microbiome or the hunger control slim. You pour it in water, shake it up, drink it once or twice a day. It's antioxidants, minerals, and prebiotic fibers that are designed to help with the balance in the gut, which is one way that you heal your thyroid, to balance your blood sugars, which is another aspect of that. And also, some of these antioxidants are great anti-inflammatories, but what you also need to know is that as you heal your gut, you decrease inflammation systemically as well. And so that's how this helps and kicks in. The other 2 parts are the ProBio 5 and the BioCleanse. These are gut health powerhouse products. Probio 5 is a probiotic, but it's also a natural antifungal that's designed to help restore the balance between intestinal yeast and bacteria in the gut. So it's going to help kill off the bad and put in some good, which is what we need to do. We don't just want to dump a bunch of good probiotics in the gut. We want to also weed out some of the overgrowth of the bad. And then BioCleanse is a magnesium supplement that helps to move some of that bad stuff out of the gut and helps you to be more regular. Again, people that have thyroid issues tend to struggle more with digestion and constipation. And typically these inflammatory issues come in threes. So like if you've got one problem, you probably got a second one, a third one, sometimes a fourth one. But these two work together to restore balance in the gut. In addition to that, I often recommend X Factor Plus, which I know Amy mentioned. X Factor Plus is a fully methylated multivitamin. It also has over 50 trace minerals. And I know earlier we were talking about like zinc and some other minerals that are great for the thyroid. In general, every single person should be on a high quality methylated vitamin. So it's not just a thyroid thing, it's a human thing. But especially if your thyroid is struggling, you need to have a good fully methylated vitamin. And it doesn't matter how pretty a package is or how something is marketed. Most of the stuff on the market is junk. The last thing that I didn't happen to grab the bottle in here is Ease capsules. It's another bottle that looks about like this. Amy mentioned it. It's a natural anti-inflammatory that has turmeric or curcumin, whatever you call it, and a couple other natural anti-inflammatories as well as a digestive enzyme. And while it doesn't directly hit the thyroid, what it does is it helps to decrease systemic inflammation. And again, inflammation in the gut, right? And when we lower that inflammation, the body is less angry, the inflammation is less, the immune system is less activated, and we're able to heal the lining of the gut. Everything starts to function better. If you were to start one place and you were budget tight, I would say at least get the triplex into you. If you have the ability to get the triplex, the X Factor Plus, and the Ease, that would be a beautiful place to start. So to wrap it all up, I want to thank our guests for being here tonight, for sharing their stories, and for you guys hanging in there through our science lesson. Thank you, honey, for our amazing science lesson. Did you want to say anything else as we wrap it up?
There's more if you'd like. As Brooke mentioned, I did a whole podcast. In fact, I think 2 or even 3 podcasts on the thyroid. So you can ask for that link, or you can just look up on your podcast platform of choice, Unshakable Health, my name, Dr. Thomas Hemingway, you'll find it. But what she shared at the end about the minerals and the vitamins and the micronutrients, super important. And we start our day every day with X Factor Plus. Like I take that every single day, sometimes even twice a day when I'm feeling like I need a little extra boost of vitamins. But it has things like selenium and zinc, and my favorite, which is the methylated cobalamin, which is vitamin B12. And it's one of the most common deficiencies out there. And you really need vitamin B12 for thyroid health, in addition to the zinc and selenium, all of which are in the X Factor Plus. And I just wanted to thank both Leslie and Amy for sharing their amazing stories of thyroid, which were super interesting to me as a physician, and just the power of natural supplementation and taking charge of your health, which all you guys and gals out there can do. Make sure you're sharing this with family and friends, because so many people are affected by thyroid conditions nowadays, probably way more than ever before. And so we can do a lot of good by sharing these things.
Yeah. And our mission around here at Plexus is to bring more health, hope, and happiness to people. And so it's our hope that you will make the choice to invest in yourself, invest in your health. And I've always loved the saying, if you don't want to pay for your health now, you'll pay for it later. That really is true. And so you may as well invest in yourself now while you're younger and feel better in your younger years, so that you can move into those 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, and be kicking it, be killing it, be crushing it, and be feeling your best. You are worth it, and we're here to support you. I want to invite you to get connected to the person that invited you to watch this video or to tune in tonight. If you need some dialing in on your routine and you're already on the products, get connected with your friend who started you. And if you're ready to share this with someone, ask the friend that invited you to send you the link, and they will help you get started in sharing these incredible supplements. Thank you again for being here tonight. Appreciate your time, your focus, your energy, and of course, your love. We'll see you next Thursday night.